in this video we're gonna be talking about follow-ups. So first of all, I'm gonna cover what a follow-up even is. Just on the top of my head, I would say that a follow-up is a process that you do with all leads, preferably with all leads that didn't turn out as you'd like them to turn out, which means they didn't book a call, they didn't get closed, whatever, right? So when do you even do a follow-up? You do a follow-up with people that didn't reply in the first place, like you send them a message, they didn't even like officially saw it, right? They didn't leave you unseen, but they probably just swiped away your notification. So that's when you do the follow-up first. Then with the people that left us unseen, right? They ghosted. Then third, with the people that ghosted on proposals, such as you proposing a call and then they ghosted on it. No shows and no sales. By no shows, I of course mean those guys that you booked in, they didn't show up for any reason or another. That's how you do the follow-up. That's when you do this process with all leads to kind of regenerate them. You generate the lead that's already been in our pipeline, but you're kind of trying to revive him, right? And with no sale, those are the guys that hopped off the call without getting closed, and they said like, oh, I'm gonna think about it. Your client didn't manage to handle that objection, and he said, okay, we're gonna follow up with him in 3 days. That's when you do this type of follow-up with no sale, guys. But first of all, not only that I'm gonna in this video cover all this, but I'm also gonna review what I did. I mean, review the text I've wrote maybe a year ago. Yeah, it was a year ago, 29th of October 2023, almost exactly a year ago, where I covered everything about follow-up. So I'm gonna see what has changed and what updates have we got about follow-ups in the meantime. So first of all, as we already know, we covered that millions of times, people buy from people they know, like, and trust. So obviously when you do the follow-up, that means that person already knows us. So that means that we already tick the first box. And one fact that goes without question is that follow-ups are way easier to close. Way easier to close than new leads. Why? Exactly because of the fact that they already know us, right? Maybe they don't like us, maybe they still don't trust us enough to actually make that transaction and pay us for whatever we're offering, but they know us, so they won't be surprised once we reach out back to them and start a conversation all over again, right? And in order for them to start liking us, we obviously need to change the approach. I would say that we need to change the approach because if we didn't manage to land the deal first time, that obviously tells us. I think it's a completely dumb decision to do the same action all over again and expect different results. And that's why we need to change the approach in order for them to start liking us and trusting us enough to make that transaction I've talked about. So what did I actually cover a year ago when I talked about follow-ups? So first of all, after a lead blows out or you're left on read, this doesn't necessarily mean that you will never do business with them. Following up with all leads can be a great way to generate new business for both client and your own prospecting. Like I've told you, this is a completely fine process to do that you do with all leads to just revive them and bring them back in your pipeline. In other words, this is just it. You doing a follow-up. For any reason or another, they didn't do what you told them to do. Like I said, book the call or close. Maybe it was just, maybe your approach was really good, but maybe they genuinely didn't have enough funds to invest at that point in time. So with these no sales, that's why you do the follow-up. Or if you also, one more situation when you do the follow-up is if the lead is unqualified. So of course, let's say you're working on a B2C offer and a person works a 9 to 5 and they are saving every single week. They're getting paid weekly and they're saving off of every paycheck, they're saving a certain portion of the money. So if your program costs too much for them, that means that they would need some extra time to save for it, which is exactly why you do the follow-up. If they're getting paid weekly, like I've said, just for the sake of an example, then you're gonna follow up with them in 2 or 3 weeks using that CRM I previously told you to use in the video called CRM and tracking. If you still didn't, go check it out because it's really, really important. You add a follow-up date in the next few weeks on the exact date, and when the date is due, it's gonna go green, and you then do the follow-up with them, with the leads that have been unqualified, and maybe they now have saved enough money, so yeah, they are now in a better financial position to afford your program. So that's just one more situation on when to do the follow-up. Grant Cardone, I'm sure you know him, one of the best salesmen in the world, probably ever, said that he has been following up with some businesses for 17 years and they still haven't bought from him yet, which is the key. Key here is yet. He believes that he's gonna get them to buy at some point. Why does he believe that? Because he knows that the more boring he is to them, at some point they might just at some point they might just gonna convert. I don't know how to express, but they might just gonna convert because yeah, it's completely unreasonable for them not to convert because 17 years, right? They know him, they like him, they trust him. At that point, they're definitely friends. And yeah, he ticks all these 3 boxes. And I'm not saying you should be following up with someone for 17 years. Like, yeah, that's a complete nonsense. But you see the point. Just follow up with people because there is no harm in following up. I mean, your follow-up doesn't even have to be official. You don't have to say something like, for example, when I was rereading this, I said, if you have already made the prospect an offer which he declined, you can dive straight into a new offer with something like this. Yo, bro, I have a new offer for you which I think you will love. I mean, today in 2024, I wouldn't say this works like at all. I would just say this is a complete BS, to be fair, because it's just outdated, right? It's 1 year old or even more. So instead of doing these official follow-ups, I would just change them and do, instead of official follow-ups, like more professional, I would just swap them with something more friendly. So instead of that, yo bro, I have a new offer, I can just say something along the lines of, yo bro, how's the life going, how's the grind being, I see you making some great moves. And to do that properly, to make a personalized, more friendly follow-up, you definitely need to do the same as you're gonna be doing when warm outbounding, right? Just take a second to analyze what they've been up to, and based on what they've been up to, just create and personalize the message, and that can be also a follow-up. Then from there you can just continue the conversation, find out what they've literally been up to, and potentially see if there is any gap that you can fill with your solution, right? Then what else? If you're left on read or the lead blows out, there is absolutely no harm in sending a follow-up message a few days later. It's super important, however, to be respectful when following up, otherwise you can come across as a very annoying and unprofessional. As long as you stay on good terms, then this means there's still opportunity for future follow-ups. And that's exactly why you, as a setter, should never go into any altercations with leads. Because first of all, you need to represent your client's values, right? You can't just go and fight with all the leads, because the leads, first of all, are probably going to think that they're talking with an actual business owner, which is going to put him at bad note, and automatically means that you can't do a follow-up because they're just going to be annoyed. And second of all, you just, at some point, if you feel that they're being dry, just leave them alone at the follow-up date, and yeah, just do that. Give them space to breathe, and at some point in time they will like you even more, and there's a potential to progress the sale, to advance the sale slightly more than you have been doing before that, right? There is no one correct way to follow up. It all depends on how your relationship is and how close you were to the sale with the prospect. How you approach the follow-up will entirely depend on the last conversation you had with them. That's also a way that you can use to follow up. So based on your previous conversation, right? Let's say you're talking with someone, with some lead. If it's in a B2B, that's obviously gonna be more money. They're probably gonna struggle with more money, more bookings, takes them too much time to manage a business, whatever. But if it's a B2C offer that you're working on, it's probably gonna be, I would say, they're 9 to 5, they're still working on it, they're like just slaving away on their 9 to 5. Or if it's a fitness offer, probably building muscle or losing weight. So based on the conversation you've had before, you can literally just bring it back and revive that conversation that you've had. So what you need to do is just based on what they told you before. Let's say in B2B, that's more money. You can just say, how is the journey to scaling your business been? How is the process to booking more calls been? Or how is the time delegation been on your end? Then if it's a B2C, they're 9 to 5. Yo bro, how is the journey to escape your 9 to 5 been? You see where I'm going with it. But the most important thing is that you use what you two talked about and bring it back into conversation, and just that's enough personalized, I would say, to get a reply and just reconnect with your previous lead. Then let's see, specifically mentioning something from the previous conversation. Okay. For example, if your prospect mentions something about a new Facebook ad strategy, then you may follow up with, how is the ad strategy going? Like I've said, how is the weight loss journey going? How is the 9 to 5 escape journey going? How is booking more calls journey been going for you? Whatever you can think of. You can follow up with a question which helps you resume your appointment setting structure to find the pain points, such as how has business been going for you so far in 2023? Obviously it's 2024 now, even 2025 in few months. If you have already made the prospect an offer, like I've told you, this one is something that I wouldn't use at all. So I'm definitely, after recording this video, gonna remove it, or even I'm gonna remove it now. If you have already made the prospect an offer which he declined, I would just delete this, to be fair. The key to follow-ups is to leverage the fact that they are already familiar with you rather than just another stranger. The fact that you have already spoken to them previously will make them less defensive. Absolutely spot on. And what I would add to this would be just to make them even less defensive, I would follow up with something more personal. Like I've said, in the Miro board, I can just easily copy paste it, take a second to analyze what they've been up to. You can take a second to analyze their page and see what they've been up to, which is exactly what you can use to follow up with your prospect. Such a personal approach will make it unreasonable for them not to such a personal, I see I'm running out of the spaces, so personal approach will make it unreasonable for them not to, I can't say it. Let's see. You see what I'm talking about. So such a personal approach will make it unreasonable for them not to reply, right? And you will just be even bigger in their eyes. So personal approach will make you stand out from everyone else. Okay, that's it. Changed. So this is how to do the follow-ups. This is the most efficient way to do the follow-up, and never hesitate to do a follow-up. I'm literally doing 10 to 15 follow-ups a day. I have that CRM in place. I'm always adding new dates, and when the date is due, you know what to do. Just do the follow-up and see what your leads have been up to. Literally, whatever, whenever, just take care to tick all these 3 boxes right here. Once you tick all those 3, there's no reason for them not to hop on a call and ultimately get close, because they know you, they like you, they trust you. And if your best friend was to offer you something, I mean, you would probably consider to buy from him rather than from some stranger on the street, right? So yeah, that's it. Keep me updated. Let me know if there's anything you need me to cover. Let me know if you need any help, and see you in the next video. Keep grinding.